I want to take a few minutes to talk about the history of watch straps and buckles, because it explains a lot about why micro adjust even exists today. When wristwatches first became common in the early 20th century, they weren't lifestyle accessories, they were tools. In 1904, Alberto Santos Dumont, a Brazilian aviation pioneer, complained to his friend, Louis Cartier, that pulling a pocket watch out while flying was dangerous. And that's how we got the Cartier Santos, one of the first popular purpose built men's wristwatches. It was strapped on with a simple leather band and a buckle. The problem being solved wasn't comfort, it was not crashing the plane. During World War I, wristwatches exploded in popularity because they were genuinely useful. Officers needed to coordinate attacks down to the minute. Over the top at 0600 meant everyone needed synchronized time on their wrists. There are photos from World War I of watches worn on improvised leather straps or even tied on with a cord. Accuracy and legibility mattered. Perfect fit, not so much. If the watch stayed on your wrist during an artillery barrage, the strap did its job. Early straps were leather, canvas, or fabric, borrowed from belts, harnesses, and military webbing. Adjustment meant punched holes and a pin buckle. Simple, durable, good enough. As watches evolved, solutions became more specialized. Dive watches needed to fit over wetsuits. That's where metal bracelets started to diverge. Links could be added or removed, and eventually, fine adjustment mechanisms were introduced. But here's the thing, on the bracelet side, this problem was eventually solved, but only in certain parts of the market. Brands like Rolex, with their glide lock system, first introduced on the Sea Dweller Deep Sea, invested real engineering into tool free micro adjustment. But most watches, entry level, mid priced, vintage, or smaller brands, still rely on coarse link sizing and fixed length clasps. Access to micro adjustment is uneven, it's tied to price and brand, not to the fact that wrists change size. Straps barely evolved at all. Same hole spacing, same pin buckles, same big jumps between sizes. Even in extreme environments, solutions were pragmatic. During the Apollo missions, NASA issued extra long Velcro straps, sometimes called NASA straps, so astronauts could wear their Omega Speedmasters over bulky spacesuits. Infinite adjustability, zero elegance. Function, not comfort. For a long time, that made sense because watches weren't worn the way that we wear them now. What really changed wasn't the strap, it was behavior. Watches stopped being something you put on for a task and took off afterward. They became all day objects. You wear them from morning to night, indoors, outdoors, sitting, walking, traveling, in air conditioning, heat, humidity. But wrists don't behave like fixed objects. They swell and contract naturally throughout the day. Studies show wrists can change 5 to 8% in circumference. That's just human physiology. So a mismatch started to develop. We were wearing increasingly refined, precise watches on adjustment systems never designed for continuous dynamic wear. And access to better solutions depended more on what watch you can afford than how your wrist actually behaves. And that's where the modern micro adjust conversation really comes from. Not marketing, not trends, just the reality that watches evolved from tools into all day companions, while strap adjustment and access to good adjustment never quite caught up.